talking about the journey of artistry, I've always loved to, to draw, to create things right from when I was a kid. I remember when we were young, me and my siblings would always draw characters from Book of My Bible Story there. So it was always a fun thing we come together to do. Before I went to school to pursue a degree in accounting. And but there's this thing with creative people. We always have a way, or we always have this hunger and thirst to want to do something. And back in my career, in accounting career, you can't just get the place to, to create, because accounting has to do with standard and lay down principles. So that, reignited my passion for art. So I had to go back to my original calling. And I've been practicing artistry seriously for like 4 years now.
Wow, amazing stuff. So I was going through your Facebook page and I noticed that you tend to use unconventional materials to create your artwork.
Yeah, I do.
So can you tell us some of the things, some of the materials that you've used so far in your journey?
Okay, thanks for that question. I've worked with nails, which I originally worked with nails way back in 2021, where I did a portrait of our former president, Goodluck Jonathan. I've worked with staple pins,
Wow.
just staple pins, where I made artwork of, I think, arguably one of the greatest striker we have, Victor Osimhen. I'm a huge fan. So I've made works with just wine, just drinking wine. I made a portrait of Osueiya Farmakin with just wine. I've made portrait with just stamp, rubber stamp. There's one I did of brain jotter with just rubber stamp. So I'm drawn to, use different forms of materials to interpret my character in the way that I'm called to.
Okay, thank you. So you just made mention of the fact that you're drawn to use some materials that interprets your character.
Yeah.
So is there any meaning based on these particular materials that you pick for different persons?
Yeah, there are always meanings attached to it. In fact, it's usually in the in that quest for expression that gives birth to the material I used. I remember when I've talked about this previous, like if I want to talk about brain jotter, yes, there was, there's this side of brain jotter that I love so much, is humanitarian side. And I've seen how he has, helped a lot of people, aside from the comedy side, which he's doing great. But there's this other kind of humanitarian side. So I wanted to do something to express that. And there were so many adjectives I wanted to use to describe him, and I just couldn't think of any other way. And since I also work in an office environment where we use stamp, so it's more of, okay, let me put these adjectives in a stamp and just see how. So it usually starts from a place of I'm just curious. Can this thing actually, work? Yes. Can this thing actually create a portrait of this? Can I try? So it's usually born from a place of curiosity. Yeah. So, so it was more like just stamping. And I was like, I think I'm getting this thing. So yeah, so there's always this part that you don't see, which I believe a lot of creative people will agree with. Okay. There's this part of struggle. There's this part where you feel it's not coming together. And I have to say this, that all my works, there's one I did with just tablets of Apoku Doctor. And that was really challenging.
Tablets as in pills?
Yes, pills.
Wow.
There was some time I was admitted in the clinic, and I spent some time there, and I was just fascinated at the different colors we have in medicine, or different colors of capsules. And I just felt it looks fine. Like, so I think I spent some time there, and I was just like, these things really have bright, like vivid colors I can actually use to do something. And I'm a fan of Apoku Doctor, so so these things just, it just come like, an idea might just, strike in between. It can be in between conversation. It can be in between you listening to a music. It can be in between you just seeing something. Or yeah. So it's usually like that.
Oh, impressive. So coming back to the governor's portrait, so what inspired you to make use of thread and nails for years?
Okay. I want to say Governor Fubara has been a blessing. He has been a blessing, still a blessing to Rivers State. But personally, he has changed a lot of things because my parents work in the Rivers State Civil Service, and we directly benefited from his goodwill and many things he implemented in the civil service. So it was more like a personal. I just wanted to do that more like a personal appreciation, a personal thank you. It's kind of crazy when your like my mom works in the civil service and her promotion has been halted for like 12 years.
Serious?
Yes.
Very good years.
Yeah, 12 good years.
Wow.
And finally we have a governor who comes and just said, no, 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 it shouldn't be so. Like all those who are due promotion should be given. Yes.
Wow.
So you can imagine how that changes things in your own household. And you can imagine like so many other things that the ripple effects of the benefits of some of his policies. So it was more like a personal appreciation thing. Yeah. So that's it.
But how long were you able to achieve that?
It took me close to 9 to 10 weeks.
9
Wow.
to 10
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, I think yeah.
9 to 10.
Yes, I've had artwork that took me close to more than 16 weeks, like more than 4 months. There's one I did of the video that took more than 4 months to complete.